Hello and welcome to this video, which is something that I've been working on for the past few days, and the title may be a little bit clickbaity, but actually there's a really easy way to use this, which I'm gonna tell you about in this video and how you could do it. So basically, as many of you probably know, the Bangladesh is on Google Street View and therefore also in GeoGuessr, and now I've just pulled up a location here in Bangladesh, and as you can see, basically everything is written in Bengali everywhere and not in the Latin script, and that means that it's almost impossible to get any written info unless you are able to read some of this. And initially I thought that this was gonna be extremely difficult because, to me at least, it all looked very similar. Like there's a line on top which I can use to recognize either this or the Hindi language in India, but basically I couldn't read it, and to me it just looked like a lot of scribbles. But there's a really easy way to both learn how to read this, and maybe not 100%, but like you'll be able to read almost all words more or less. And as I will show you, combining this with another thing which I'm gonna go into in a bit, it's actually gonna be very useful in Bangladesh. So the other thing that is very important is this, which is the districts in Bangladesh. There are 64 of these, and these will be very useful to learn how to recognize here in the Bengali script. So first of all, one will have to learn these 64. That is not too difficult, and then one will have to learn how to read Bengali well enough to recognize one of these when they show up. These show up a lot because there's a lot of addresses in Bangladesh where these show up. So they are kind of like the Kabupaten of Indonesia, and maybe even a bit more frequent in Bangladesh. So if we go over to this location here, what you will look for is, like, if you have an address like this, then at the end there will be this vertical line, and then a word here, and before it a comma, and then another word before it, and so on. So this whole thing is the address, and the last thing here, that's the district. So right now I'll tell you in a minute how you will be able to read this, but I can see that this says Habiganj, which, if we look here, that's the one over here, and it is in this district here. And as you might see here, if you're able to find the district, then you have massively narrowed down the country. And even more than this, sometimes there will be a city name also before the district, which you can then scan for on the map. So first of all, I'll just recommend, if you want to learn the districts, then Emily has a great quiz on her site. So for example, Raishai would be this one here, or Panchagara, this one here, and we can go on like this. I'm not going to do the whole quiz here, but you can also learn it like this, and you can of course have the map over it if you want to, or recycle the missed answers, or a lot of different opportunities on this site. And I would really recommend learning this quiz. That was how I learned the different districts. So once you've learned those, or maybe you want to learn this before, let's go into how you can read the Bengali alphabet. And I used this guide here. And the first thing I want to say is don't try to learn it 100%, at least not at the beginning, because that's gonna be fairly difficult, and I would say it's not worth it, because you can actually learn like 80% of it or something by very little. So the Bengali language is made up of different consonants and vowels. So we have 32 consonants, which are also showed up here. And here it shows each one separately, like this is the K, this is the KH, G, and so on. And some of these are more frequent than others, but in the end, these are probably just ones you'll have to learn. I just learned them by practicing reading different words and then looking them up until some of them stuck. And at least a lot of these are really common, and then some of these I wouldn't even recognize now because they almost never show up. And then if there's a simple character you don't know, it's not gonna be the end of the world, because you'll still be able to see most of the word, and if you know the districts, then that's gonna be good enough. So there are different consonants here, and then there are the vowels. And here's a list of the vowels, but this is actually not the one you are gonna wanna learn. Because the thing about Bengali is, when the vowel comes after a consonant, then it will change. So for example, this one here, which is an I, you will sometimes see this, for example, I think in Gaibanda, you would see it because it doesn't come after a consonant, so the G would be combined with the A, and then you have the I solo. And then you'll see this character, but most often you'll see this one, where you have this thing here, and then a consonant in here. And actually we can see here, that's exactly the symbol we have here. So this means there's an I here, and then the consonant is this one, which should come before, and this one will be a B. So this symbol here combined with this would be a BI sound, which is in the word Habiganj, of course. So that's just an example, but the most common one is probably this one, which is the A, and then we have some I's. The U here is also pretty common, and then some of these down here are also quite common. But it's not too difficult to learn this. But it's much more useful to learn these ones than to learn how these look, because these are quite rare. So some of them might be okay to learn, but it's not really necessary. And here it has a few examples. So for example, if this one is the K symbol, then putting it after or before this vertical line you have Ka, or with this one you have Ki, or with this thing at the bottom you have Ku, and so on. And then there are some more symbols, but this is more advanced. I would say this one shows up sometimes. This one here also shows up sometimes, but don't start with learning these, just start with focusing on the other things, and then you can also always build from there. So this is the thing you're gonna learn. I will of course link all these different things here in the description below if you want to check it out. So I also really wanted to recommend this quiz, which I made. And this quiz is just that you get the Bengali name, and then you have all the 64 districts in the English name, and then the goal is to click on the correct one. So let's see, this one here actually is which one is this? I think it's this one here. Yes, and I'll just maybe skip through a few, because for example this one, I would say, of course, we can spell us through this. This should be Jamalpur here. So this would be the J with the A on, and then an M with an A on, and this is the L. Then you have a P with the U on down here, and then the R at the end. So this is just Jamalpur here. But the thing I wanted to empathize is this ending here is actually worth remembering, because that's the pur ending, which a lot of these end in pur. So I'll click Jamalpur here. Maybe we can get here's another one that ends in pur. This one would then be Sherpur. This is these two rings here is the SH, and then with this one and this one here you have the E and an R, so this is Sherpur. So the pur ending is very common. There's one other ending that's also really common. It's this one here, which is the Ganj ending, G-A-N-J. This of course is the G here and with an A on, and then this is the NJ, and this is one of the actually special things I haven't learned, but I know that these two combined gives Ganj. And then of course you will still have to check the beginning of the word, like this for example is Gopalgan, or Gopalgan it's called here. So here's another one that ends in Gan. Then we can see this is S-I-R-A-J, so this is Sirigan. And I'm not going to do the whole quiz, but this is a great way, I think, to practice these. Not only will you get some more practice about how to spell through words, but also you will recognize some of these. Yeah, and this, for example, is the one we had earlier, Habiganj here. And especially, I'll just skip forward until we get it. Could be any moment now. I want a specific one. Yeah, so this one is pretty good. Even if you're not gonna learn everything, then this one here is good to know. This is the DH, and then the A and a K and another A, so this is Dhaka, which you'll see a lot of places. And I could keep going here, but here we have another pur. But yeah, I just wanted to make a big recommendation for this quiz I made, and I'll link to it below also, so you can play it there. But I think it's really useful, and I've set the time limit to an hour, so it shouldn't be a problem. Even if you want to, you can just untime it. But an hour should be more than enough to go through all of this, and it's I think at least it's a very good practice, and you'll also familiarize yourself with the different districts. So yeah, I'll link it below if you're interested. But with that being said, I think I'm gonna just go into the map and see if I can play maybe a few rounds where I found these. I'll just go around looking for them, and then maybe you'll also see where they show up. Usually it is on ads like these. I saw earlier actually there's another one here, similarly an address. So it takes a bit of time to get used to knowing where to look, but once you do that, then you won't have to spend time reading everything because you know where to look. So let's just play a few rounds and see what we get here. Okay, let's get into it. So immediately here we are of course somewhere in Bangladesh, because this is a Bangladesh map. I'm just gonna do this, and let's see, nothing here. I found sometimes there's nothing, and then it might take a few minutes before I found something, which of course is too long. but other times I can get it within 30 seconds, which usually helps and also would be useful in duels. So here you might think that's the comma, but this is something different. This is not an address, but actually here we have an address up here, and this one, which is quite short, is actually useful to learn. It's Dhaka, D, or the DH sound here, then an A, the K from earlier, and another A. So this means Dhaka. Also, if you see Dhaka, then I'm also a bit worried because it might be fake, just some central address. So you could keep going and see if you find something else. But for now, I might just trust Dhaka. This looks like it could be Dhaka. And actually, okay, here we have some Latin script which also says Dhaka. So let's just use it. And I would say most of the time, if you see Dhaka, it's Dhaka. But yeah, there could be Dhaka at a different place. But of course, it's fairly central, so it's not the end of the world, because that's probably where you are gonna hedge anyway. And it was Dhaka here, so 4,600 points, which is very nice. What is this? This is actually one of the ones we had before. This was the R, remember, and this was the NG with the Pur, and then we have Rangpur here. So Rangpur is up here. And of course, even if you don't 100% remember where these are, you can search for them on the map. And if you're in doubt, maybe, is this actually Rangpur? Then you can see, okay, this looks like this. Then look at Rangpur here. See, yes, it is actually this one. So now I'm gonna go here, and actually this one was also just in the city, but it could have been in the whole district, which if we look here, it didn't have to be in the city, so it could have been somewhere else. But even then, on a Bangladesh map, you'll usually get at least 3,000 to 4,000 points on this. It's one of the very big districts, and on a world map, of course, this would be 4,900 points plus. So okay, now we are a bit more rural, so we'll have to move until we find something. Was this something here? I can see it maybe, but I don't think I can see it. So let's keep looking. Might be something anywhere really, but usually around some civilization is where you find these ads or similar with addresses on. Okay, now we are somewhere where I think we might find something, maybe on this one here. I'm not sure I can read this, but I think this one should be one. I think it might say Cox's Bazar, which is this one here. I'm not 100% sure because I can't quite read it, but I think it should be correct actually. So let's just go here, and now we can see, okay, it wasn't actually in the city, but it was close enough, and this is 3,800 points, and that's gonna happen. Maybe actually, I don't know if it said Idgar or something on, it might have done before it, but I'm mostly concerned about the districts. That's good enough for me, and at least if you play in a duel or something, then it's just gonna be about quickly guessing or quickly finding information before your opponent guesses. But if you play a daily challenge or something, then of course you can use the whole 3 minutes to try and find something and get as close as possible. But let's keep going and see if we have something here. Okay, so I found that on these posters here, They are sometimes, but not always. Actually, this might be one. This is an SI. This is an RA, I think. And we have the ganj ending here. So is this Siri ganj? I think it is this one here. So you might see SR or SIRAJ and then the ganj ending here. So I think this is gonna be Siri ganj here, and it was just in the city again. Nice. So you can see even now where I'm not clicking immediately when I know some of these times are pretty low. So it's definitely useful. Let's see, do we have something here? I think this is TA. This is an L. This is the I. A. Is this Tarail? Or Tangang, it's called, I think. So let's just click here, and okay, it was out there. But actually, this was 21.8K on a country-specific map in 6 minutes, and where I could probably have done it in 5 or something if I have just clicked immediately. So some rounds, actually these were some of the better ones, but sometimes I'll need maybe 3-4 minutes before I find something. Other times it will be just at the spawn location, and then of course you can do it very, very fast. But yeah, I hope you find this useful. So all in all, you'll need to learn the districts, but I'd say 64 districts is not too difficult to learn, and these are also just the cities. So it's actually quite fun also, because then you learn a lot of Bangladesh cities. And you can use this site to learn it if you want. And then the alphabet, I'll link to the guide here below. But yeah, check it out, and in the end I'll say you're just gonna learn it by practicing. And in the beginning you might not see a lot of useful things, but then just try to spell through it. And yeah, it's gonna it's just gonna come slowly, and once you feel like you have a pretty good idea of how to spell through words, I'll also recommend taking this quiz that I made, because it's actually very helpful, at least for me, to both brush up on how to read this, but also just practicing how they look and the different districts. But I think I'm gonna end the video here. Hope you found this useful, and then I'll just say bye.